Okay, so a lot of people are here already. Dishita, Avi, Ankit, Vansh, Naman, a very good evening to all of you. Here I am. Am I audible and my screen visible? Yes or no? Is it? Yeah, that's great. All right. So we'll start with a lot of VA. Today's verbal ability, not reading comprehension, because some people. Yeah, Krish. I hope you're a part of the WhatsApp group that we have made, and we were discussing. So the thing is that I need to do two sessions today. Tomorrow is FMS last date. Earlier we had a plan to do BARC both. Okay, but as FMS is tomorrow and people want to have an SOP session, so that's why I made it okay. We'll be doing VA right now, RC tomorrow in the morning. Okay, is that clear? तो इसके बाद हम लोग करेंगे FMS का SOP. So we start with the first one. Here it goes. The sentence rearrangement, that means basically para jumbles. Okay. All right, Krish. I'll just send the link over there. Put it in the comment. Yeah, I just sent that. Wait. So as you see, I'll be giving a timer over there. The timer will be of 2 minutes, not more. Okay. And this will be visible on the top of the screen. We'll do a quick fire first of all. We'll do 5 questions quickly. I won't tell you the answer. After 5 questions, I'll be discussing the solutions with you. Let's start. Naman, through the questions, I will revise the concepts. ठीक है, टाइमर 1 मिनट कर दूंगा. Okay, perfect. 'शेक्सपियर के साथ. हाँ हाँ, फास्ट कर देंगे. नहीं, अभी शुरुआत में तो हाय हेलो करना ही पड़ता है. ठीक है. तो बेसिकली 1-1 मिनट देंगे हर एक के लिए. Here comes the next one. Let me just um, make it fun. All right. Now, this will be fast. 45 seconds. 3 मिनट ज्यादा हो जाएगा. 1 मिनट ठीक है. Good evening, Sreksha. But you know what I believe? In BA questions, ideally you should spend 1.5 minutes. So I think 90 seconds will be a great deal to start with. ओके, कुछ लोग बहुत फास्ट है मैं जानता हूँ, कुछ लोग स्लो है मैं ये भी जानता हूँ। ठीक है ना, तो सबके दिमाग में ध्यान में रखते हुए ऐसा करेंगे। 90 सेकेंड्स बिल्कुल सही टाइम फ्रेम है मेरे हिसाब से। ठीक है। ऑल राइट, सो लेट्स डू 90 सेकेंड्स। कुछ डिफिकल्ट भी होंगे, कुछ इजी भी होंगे। ठीक है, चलो ये बेटर टाइम है। तो अब आते हैं अगले क्वेश्चन पे। ऑल राइट क्वेश्चन, Chris, you want that link? No? Okay, I'll just send the link also. There we go. Time up. Next. यहाँ से बड़े फास्ट कर रहे हैं, मॉक्स में भी करता नहीं है। ऐसा क्या? आज हम इस पे बात करेंगे कि तुम लोग मॉक्स में क्यों नहीं करते सही से, और यहाँ कैसे जल्दी जल्दी कर लेते हो। ये एक बहुत बड़ा रहस्य है जो मुझे समझ में आज तक नहीं आया। कहीं तुम लोग आंसर नहीं देख रहे? is, chalo, odd one out again. Okay, let's do it, this. Okay, I'll try to explain it now. So all of you need to do one thing, that you keep a tab of your scores. +3 for correct, -1 for wrong, 0 for not attempting. And I will be also sending a link of a kind of a from YouTube community, in which you'll be posting your raw scores. Based on that, I'll be selecting people for that crash course. Okay, so the first one. Okay, so my idea, there are various ways to solve this question. Like, people have different ways depending on how much you have read, what all things you have done. So my idea is always to look at the smallest statement, which is in this case fourth. Okay, so fourth one says she plans to build micro factories. Okay, she, pronoun. By the way, in 90% cases, in 90% cases, a statement paragraph cannot start with a pronoun. Okay, in 90% cases. Well, so unless there is some kind of name given to it, and what are the things, what are the rules in which we understand that when pronoun cannot start and when pronoun can start actually. So if someone says him being the something, the naam, Ashok, right? So this is a classic case in which pronoun can open the sentence. Is that clear? Him being the conqueror, Ashoka the Great, something like that. So these are the classic cases in which pronoun can open the statement, otherwise it can't. Is that clear, everyone? So she plans to build micro factories. Okay, we know that she शुरुआत में नहीं आएगा. I'll just write four over here. Okay, and I'll leave it for some other statement. She plans to build micro factories that can tease apart the tangle of materials in mobile phones, computers, and other e-waste. Okay, cool. Who is she? We don't really know. Anyways, फिर देखते हैं सेकंड जो स्मॉल स्टेटमेंट है. वीना सहजवाला, ऑब्वियसली वीना सहजवाला, a material scientist at this university, believes is a new way of solving the problem. Okay, so one probably will start the statement, the paragraph. Okay, तो वीना सहजवाला कौन है? एक मटेरियल साइंटिस्ट हैं किसी यूनिवर्सिटी में. हमें मतलब यूनिवर्सिटी से नहीं है, हमें मतलब इस बात से है कि मटेरियल साइंटिस्ट हैं और उनको एक नया तरीका मिल गया प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने का. ओके, ठीक है. वो क्या प्रॉब्लम है पर कैसे होगा, चलो अब देखते हैं. कि हो सकता है कि वन स्टेटमेंट पैराग्राफ को ओपन करे. दिस अ पॉसिबिलिटी. एक पॉसिबिलिटी और है कि पहले जो मटेरियल साइंटिस्ट को लाया क्यों गया होगा, कोई एक प्रॉब्लम रही होगी, उस प्रॉब्लम को देखा गया होगा, तब इनको लाया गया होगा. तो दो केसेस हैं, या तो वीणा सहजवाला के बारे में सब कुछ होगा तो वन स्टार्ट करेगा, या किसी किसी मटेरियल के बारे में कुछ बात हो जाएगी. चलो आगे देखते हैं. थर्ड सेज ई वेस्ट कंटेन्स ह्यूज क्वांटिटीज ऑफ वैल्यूएबल मेटल्स, ceramics, plastics, they are all materials, right? That will be salvaged and recycled, although currently not enough of it is. ठीक है. तो ई वेस्ट को इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया और प्रॉब्लम बताई गई है कि आजकल, अभी फिलहाल, करेंटली इन प्रेजेंट, there is no way, much way of salvaging or recycling it. ठीक है, three will start, and now comes the Veena Sehajwala, who has a new way of solving this problem. Okay, and how would he solve her? Fourth. Okay, so third gives you a problem statement. There's a classic question in which problem comes first. Okay, then the solver comes there second. Then she has the solution. Okay, and solution can be multiples. Now coming to second, it says her vision is for automated drones and robots. Okay, तो यहाँ पे बोल रहे हैं कि इनका प्लान है एक, कि माइक्रो फैक्ट्रीज बनाएंगी, ये सब चीजें करेंगी, और उनका जो विजन है दैट इज फॉर ऑटोमेटेड ड्रोन्स एंड रोबोट्स टू पिक आउट कंपोनेंट्स, पुट देम इन स्मॉल फर्नेसेस, smelt them. So basically second is the description of the solution, right? The description of the entire solution. That means problem comes first, then comes the solver, then comes the solution, and then comes description of the solution. So 3 1 4 2 is going to be the most logical and coherent sequence. Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear? Normally, I'm comfortable with both the languages, and you guys tell me what should I use, pure English or mix of Hindi as well. Now, 3 1 4 2. How many people got it correct? Coming to the next one. Now, सारे ही स्टेटमेंट यहाँ पे छोटे बड़े सब बराबर ही है. We can start with anything we want to. So let's start with one. Centuries later. Centuries later? अच्छा. मतलब कुछ आगे होने वाला है, तो इसके पहले कुछ तो हुआ होगा. So one possibly we're not sure, but possibly cannot open this statement. I'll write one over here, and I'll try to kind of make mandatory pairs and all that stuff. Okay, well, let's read second also. कुछ कुछ शुरुआत के words. One of the immediate and recognizable impacts of printing press was how people learned. In the scribal culture, it primarily involved listening, so memorization was paramount. ठीक है. तो यहाँ बताया गया प्रिंटिंग प्रेस के आने से द मेजर चेंज वाज द वे पीपल लर्नड थिंग्स. बिकॉज बिफोर दैट पीपल वर बेसिकली इन्वॉल्व इन लिसनिंग, सुनते थे चीज़ों को. तो आप लोग को याद होगा, सुना होगा कि हमारे हिंदी साहित्य में एक स्टेट एक श्रुति होता है. श्रुति मतलब सुन के जो चीज़ें होती हैं वो श्रुतियाँ हैं. शुरुआत में श्रुतियाँ थी, बाद में वो लिखी गई. क्लियर. प्रिंटिंग प्रेस ने उसको छाप दिया. ओके, सो प्रिंटिंग प्रेस डिड दैट. तो प्रिंटिंग प्रेस ये सेकंड जो लगता है, इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट एन इफेक्ट, how printing press transformed, introduction of printing press and how it transformed the way of learning. Second can open, let's read others also. The transformation of learners from listeners to readers was a complex social and cultural phenomenon. It was not until the industrial era that the concept of universal literacy took root. ठीक है. तो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन जो हुआ सुनने वालों से पढ़ने वालों में, इस चीज़ में बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी थी. सोशल फिनोमिनन चेंज हुआ, कल्चरल चेंज हुआ ही होगा, क्योंकि आप बिल्कुल तरीका ही चेंज कर रहे हो. और ये सारी चीज़ें अल्टीमेटली हुआ क्या, इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन जब हुआ, इंडस्ट्रियल एरा जब आया, तो यूनिवर्सल लिटरेसी की बात है कि हर किसी को पढ़ा लिखा होना चाहिए. क्लियर. ओके, ठीक है, समझ में आता है. तो थ्री कहाँ होगा मैं नहीं पता, मैं थ्री भी सब कुछ दूर दूर लिख रहा हूँ. Coming to fourth, the printing press shifted the learning process as listening and memorization gradually gave way to reading, and learning no longer required presence of a mentor. It would be done privately. Cool. So now we understand one thing, that two introduces the printing press, how it transformed. Okay. Basically, it transformed. There's a process. It transformed. Now, how it transformed is given in fourth, right? कि ये आया प्रिंटिंग प्रेस ने शिफ्ट किया, क्योंकि क्योंकि लिसनिंग और मेमोराइजेशन धीरे धीरे रीडिंग पे पहुंच गया. ओके, सो ज़्यादा ध्यान से नहीं, देखिए इतना टाइम है नहीं हमारे पास, हमें जल्दी जल्दी सॉल्व करना है. प्रोसेस कैसे किया ये बता दिया गया फोर्थ में. अब थ्री और वन में कौन सा आएगा हमें देखना होगा. ठीक है. फर्स्ट बोल रहा है सेंचुरीज लेटर, कई शताब्दियों के बाद, आफ्टर मेनी सेंचुरीज, दैट मीन्स वन विल डेफिनेटली conclude the paragraph, right? Not three. So 2, 4, 3, 1 is the most logical and coherent sequence. Is that clear? Understood, everyone? And if you understand, tell me something, yes, no, or whatever. And don't, focus on the session. ये फाइनल ईयर में हूँ मैं, मेरे को ये फॉर्म भरना है, ये सब बातें के लिए एक अलग ग्रुप है, वहां पे कर सकते हो. ओके, हियर फोकस ऑन दिस एंड ऑल्सो टेल मी हाउ मेनी यू गॉट इट करेक्ट. क्लियर. नाउ द नेक्स्ट वन. What precisely? Okay. So I'll look at this smaller statement, first of all, shortest statement, first of all. Unsolved and perhaps unsolvable cases offer something that ordinary murder does not. Murder. It can open, it can conclude. Three is such a versatile statement they don't really know. Probably it is starting something that, or that there are cases which are unsolvable, unsolved. So those are kind of, they give other a different kind of dopamine rush, isn't it? Three can start the entire paragraph. Three can also close the entire paragraph, because if the murders, ordinary and other murders are compared, and then three can solve as the concluding statement as well. We're not really sure. Anyways, let's read further. Okay, let's read the fourth one. Why are some crimes destined for perpetual re-examination and others locked into permanent obscurity? Obscurity बहुत छोटी चीज कोई होती है, उसको तुच्छ मान लिया, वो खत्म हो गया, उसको ध्यान ही नहीं देना. So there are some crimes which keep on getting re-examined, okay, and others are not. Okay, so it means that whatever it is, three cannot come before four. Four has to be, four poses a question that why it happens. And this is not just a question, okay, it's also a kind of a banger statement to start with, isn't it? Because it gives you a kind of a very secretive and mysterious tone of the entire paragraph. Why are some crimes? So four पहले आएगा, सबसे पहले आएगा कि ये मैं नहीं पता. यस श्योर एग्जैक्टली 3 और 4 में आप कंफ्यूज हो सकते हो। आगे देखते हैं। इट माइट बी पर्टिकुलरली सैवेज और अनफेदमेबल लेवल ऑफ डिप्रेविटी। सैवेज अनफेदमेबल मतलब मुझे इसको मेजर न किया जा सके, डिप्रेविटी पता नहीं चल रहा क्या हो रहा है। वेरी ऑफ्टन इट हैज समथिंग टू डू विद द प्रिसाइज अमाउंट ऑफ मिस्ट्री इन्वॉल्व्ड। ओके, सो मिस्ट्री पे इतना नहीं होता, मेन चीज होता है कि भाई कुछ इस पे पास हमारे पास कोई सबूत ही नहीं है है ना, अनफेथमेबल है। सो बेसिकली 4 and 1 are forming a mandatory pair for sure. Why? Because poses a question one poses a question and second gives an answer to it. आखिर क्यों ऐसा होता है? कुछ क्राइम्स जो होते हैं जिनको बार बार एग्जामिन किया जाता है, तो अच्छा, वन क्यों बोल रहा हूँ यार मैं, आई एम सो सॉरी। ओके, two two can be a pair, but let's read first also. What precisely are the unusual elements that make a particular case so attractive to certain kind of audience? Okay, okay, now two gives a solution. There is a change, a lot of changes are there. So basically we see fourth is a question, first is also a question, isn't it? Both have interrogative sentences. They both are interrogative, end with question mark. Wow. So this will follow two ways. Either there'll be question, question, then a solution. Question, solution, question, solution. That is what it should be. Getting it? QQS. And what is third one? Unsolved, perhaps unsolved case something. ये conclude कर रहा है, चलो मालूम पड़ गया कि conclusion है. So basically the premise is two questions, then solution, then a conclusion. Other is a question, then a solution, a question, then again a solution. But the problem is, for the second question, solution is not present. For second question, solution is not present. That means we have to reject this case and select this case. Do you understand that now? So 4 is a question, 1 is a question, 2 is a solution, and 3 is the conclusion. So 4, 1, 2, 3 is the correct sequence. Got it? समझ गए? पहले ने बोला कि आखिर ऐसा क्यों होता है कि किसी केस को बार बार एग्जामिन करते हैं बाकी को नहीं करते, ऐसे कौन से एलिमेंट्स हैं जो उस केस को इतना अट्रैक्टिव बना देते हैं। तो हो सकता है कि उसमें ये हुआ हो, है ना, सेकंड स्टेटमेंट में। और अल्टीमेटली एंड बता दें भाई, कुछ अनसॉल्वेबल केसेस वो उस तरह की फील देते हैं जो ऑर्डिनरी मर्डर कभी नहीं देते। क्लियर? डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट लॉजिकल कोहेरेंस? सी आई मेड इट मैथमेटिकल टोटली। क्यूएस दो केस बनाते हैं अलजेब्रा में, होता है ना, ये वैलिड नहीं हो रहा, ये वैलिड है, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं नेक्स्ट। और कोई लोग बोलते हैं कि यार दो सवाल कैसे हो सकते हैं, तो याद है तो सनी देओल, क्यों क्यों एनीवेज कमिंग टू नेक्स्ट वन। इंटरेस्टिंग। तो यहाँ पे भी देखूंगा मैं छोटा वाला कौन सा है। कोई स्टेटमेंट छोटा है ही नहीं भाई, तो कहीं से भी शुरू कर दो। लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट वन। Yeah, Avi. So four says various industrial sectors, including retail, transit, enterprises. I'm not going to read all the sectors because that will not be, that won't be, kind of very much what informative for me. We just have to look at various industrial sectors. ठीक है, सारे हैं, ठीक है, सब कुछ है भाई, ठीक है, have now started leveraging these beacons solutions to track and communicate with their customers. Beacon solutions. Okay, so this can open the paragraph. This is a possibility. It can open the paragraph. Various sectors ने beacons करना शुरू कर दी, यूज करना शुरू कर दी. But the problem is there's a word called these beacons. So when they say these beacons, so there must be some statement which has introduced beacons, isn't it? Right? I mean, now, not all, but yeah, there'll be two parts of it. Today we'll be doing for 2.5 hours, tomorrow 2.5 hours. So we will cover maximum of it. All right, these beacons. So beacons कहीं ना कहीं तो आने चाहिए. A beacon fixed on a top shop onto the shop wall enables visitor to see. अच्छा, यहाँ बताएं beacon का function क्या होता है? Smartphones capture the beacon signals. Beacons are tiny. Oh wow! So four is the one that actually, four is the statement that actually introduces beacons. Beacons are tiny, inexpensive, micro location based technology devices. तो micro location based है, इसका मतलब कि स्मार्टफोन उसको सिग्नल को कैप्चर कर सकता है। दिख रहा है हमें यहाँ पे, ठीक है, ओके। दिख रहा है ना? In micro location based technology devices can send radio frequency signals, notify nearby Bluetooth devices. Wow. So अगर Bluetooth devices है, radio frequency signals है, तो receivers होने चाहिए. Receivers are given statement free. So 4 के बाद 3 पक्का आएगा. Is that right? Because smartphones can capture the beacon signals and distance can be estimated by measuring received signal strength. Cool. ग्रेट। अच्छा, ठीक है, आगे देखते हैं भाई। इतना क्लियर हो गया। नाउ सेकंड वन। अब फर्स्ट वाले में पता था कि यहाँ बताया कि कई सारे सेक्टर्स इसको यूज कर रहे हैं। सेकंड क्या बोल रहा है? अ बीकन फिक्स्ड ऑन टू अ शॉप वॉल enables a retailer to assess the proximity of the customer and come up with a much targeted or personalized communication like offers, discounts and combos on products in each shelf. देखो, अब यहाँ पे लोग कंफ्यूज हो सकते हैं। कुछ लोग बोलेंगे 4 3 के बाद 2 आना चाहिए। दैट इज समथिंग विच पीपल विल फील, राइट? बिकॉज सी, 4 talks about, introduces beacon, also talks about the signals are being caught by smartphones, and then you might be feeling that these are fixed onto shops. Here, people can get confused. While first one talks about various industrial sectors are now using beacons to track, communicate with their customers. Now, customers here, this is going to be a key link to decide whether one comes first or second comes first. Now, कस्टमर्स के बाद ही ये चीज आएगी। अगर कस्टमर्स का इंट्रोडक्शन यहाँ पे हुआ है, दे हैव इंट्रोड्यूस्ड कस्टमर्स नाउ, एंड कस्टमर्स क्या कर सकते हैं वो बताया गया है सेकंड में। दैट इज व्हाई वन विल कम बिफोर टू, नॉट आफ्टर टू। सो 4 3 1 2 इज द मोस्ट प्लॉजिबल सीक्वेंस। इज दैट क्लियर एवरीवन? Yeah, understood. So it must be 4 3 1 2. Cool. All of you got that? Got it? ठीक है, आगे। सब लंबे लंबे स्टेटमेंट है, पढ़ लेते हैं शुरुआत से ही। The work is more than the text. For the text only takes on life when it is realized, and furthermore, the realization is by no means independent of the individual disposition of the reader. This is going to be a difficult one. This is the kind of parajumble that need to skip. Why? Because there's so many philosophical words. If you are not an avid reader, you will go get stuck. Getting it? दो तीन वर्ड्स पढ़ने पे मालूम पड़ जाएगा। द कन्वर्जेंस ऑफ टेक्स्ट एंड रीडर ब्रिंग्स द लिटरेरी वर्क इनटू एग्जिस्टेंस, एंड दिस कन्वर्जेंस इज नॉट टू बी आइडेंटिफाइड either with the reality of the text or with the individual disposition of the reader. Wow, getting it? The kind of PJ which you will like to skip. Okay, now coming to third, from this polarity, which polarity? Which polarity? We don't know. Okay. From this polarity, it follows that the literary work cannot be completely identical with the text or with the relation of the text, but in fact must lie halfway between the two. Between what? Text and realization. Okay, cool. Fourth says literary work has two poles, which we might call the artistic and the aesthetic. Perfect. 4 3 form a mandatory pair. 4 and 3 form a mandatory pair. Okay. Now, Now, because we have pair, we won't skip this, isn't it? So basically 2 to 3 words of each line and then decide upon whether we will do it or not. Artistic refers to the text created by the author and the aesthetic to realization accomplished by the reader. Wow. So artistic is from the author's point of view. Aesthetic is beauty from the reader's point of view. Do you understand that? So if you guys don't know, I'm a writer. So when I write, I always try to, kind of think from both the ways. Writers normally do that. That for me, it can be art. For you, it can be enjoyment. It can be beauty. It can be bringing back the memories, nostalgia, right? So kind of effect which readers feel sometimes is different from what writer is writing. Clear? So 4 and 3 form mandatory pair, the polarity, two poles from this polarity. Cool. Now coming to 1 and 2. So if we decide upon which comes first, either 1 or 2 will be able to um, crack this. Okay. First one talks about that it takes on life when it is realized. Okay. Second, talking about convergence of text and readers bring the literary work into existence and this convergence. Okay. So here they talk about the realization. Here they talk about when it is realized, what happens. So one will come before two. Clear? In the one, the reader is realizing, and after realization, what comes is the after effect that is given in statement number two. So 4 3 1 2 is the most coherent sequence. All right, Navneet, तुम्हारा बस आखिरी का गलत हो गया। ठीक है, चलो आगे देखते हैं। नाउ वी आर डन विद दीस फाइव, and I would like to go for the next set of five questions, that is odd one out. Ready for it? The people who have just joined, the new guys, see, I am going to give you 1.5 minutes for every BA question, five questions in a row, and then I'll be explaining that, okay? With all sorts of micro elements that should be looked at while solving BA questions. Coming to the next one, this is odd one out. I will just start the timer. Here it starts. It's visible on the top right corner. Poll one, creating a poll every time is kind of tedious task. Let me check if it is a possibility. Oh yes, it is possible. Wow. भैया yes or no है, अच्छा मैं लिखना पड़ेगा बहुत, इसमें प्रॉब्लम है ब्रो, बट ओके, लेट मी डू दैट. Oh, the poll is giving only four options, but here we have five. In odd one out we have five, right? So in the questions in which we have four options, I'll give the poll. Cool. This one is interesting. The second one, well, there are so many people, but I see very few answering the questions. Come on, answer it. All right, here we have paragraph summary. For paragraph summary, I will give you, yeah, I think this is fine. So I did not start a timer earlier in this one, so I will stop it the moment it reaches 30 seconds. Next. All right, after this, we will go on to solutions. All right, चलो जल्दी से सॉल्यूशंस देखते हैं इन सबके जितने हमने किए हैं बीच में ये थोड़े से दिस वाज वे बैक इन कैट अब ये आता नहीं है इसलिए मैंने इसे हटा दिया है ठीक है ना सो वी वर हियर ओके लेट्स सी वी हैव 5 jumble up sentences just a moment all right चलो देखते हैं इनमें से 4 मिलके बनेंगे कोहेरेंट पैराग्राफ और एक जो होगा वो ऑड वन आउट होगा ठीक है ऑड वन आउट में काफी लोगों को प्रॉब्लम भी होती है सो लेट्स स्टार्ट दिस वन सेल्फ केयर particularly links to loneliness behavioral problems and negative academic outcomes. So this talks about self-care, introduces. We'll make a mind map, okay, for that. Latchkey children refers to children who routinely return home from school to empty homes, take care of themselves for extended periods of time. They're latchkey children, latchkey. Okay. Although self-care generally points to negative outcomes, it is impossible to consider that the bulk of research has yet to track long-term consequences. ठीक है तो यहाँ पे हमें एक बात मालूम पड़ी जो सेल्फ केयर वाली बात है लैच की चिल्ड्रन कैन बी अटैच टू सेल्फ केयर बिकॉज दे आर डूइंग इट टू देमसेल्व्स बट स्टिल वी डोंट फाइंड द ऑड वन आउट राइट वी नॉट एबल टू फाइंड इट आउट येट ऑल राइट और यहाँ बोल रहे हैं कि रिसर्च अभी इस बारे में नहीं हुई है थोड़ी बची है In research and practice, the phrase children in self-care has come to replace latchkey in an effort. So basically, 4 and 2 cannot be odd one out. All right. So if I write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm pretty sure that 2 and 4 can't be odd one out because they talk about the same thing. Isn't it? Do you understand that part? Is that right? Now, although parents might believe that self-care would be beneficial for development, recent research has found quite the opposite. ठीक है यहाँ पे रिसर्च के बारे में दो बातें करी गई हैं फोर्थ में रिसर्च एंड प्रैक्टिस की बात करी गई है चिल्ड्रन सेल्फ केयर जो लैच की चिल्ड्रन है और पेरेंट्स को लगता है कि इससे कोई ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती इट्स बेनिफिशियल फॉर डेवलपमेंट सो बट रिसर्च इज फाउंड क्वाइट द ऑपोजिट ओके ओके नाउ हियर थर्ड टॉक्स अबाउट द रिसर्च सो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू थिंक व्हाट्स योर आंसर बाय द वे व्हाट आर योर आंसर्स आई वांट टू नो योर आंसर्स समझने की कोशिश करते हैं 2 and 4 is a link for sure so 2 and 4 would be their mandatory pair if I read it again latch key refers to children ठीक है और फिर बोला गया है कि the phrase children self care replaced latch key so latch key this introduces the paragraph and it fourth statement explains what latch key actually is now it has become children self care okay ठीक है यहाँ तक क्लियर है अब दिखता है हमें कि सेल्फ केयर बेनिफिशियल होगा पेरेंट्स को ऐसा लगता है पर सेल्फ केयर लोनलीनेस में चला जाता है कि बेसिकली सेल्फ केयर पेरेंट्स फील इट्स बेनिफिशियल बट इट्स क्वाइट द ऑपोजिट एंड व्हाट इज ऑपोजिट इट हैज गॉट नेगेटिव एकेडमिक आउटकम्स सो 2 4 के बाद 5 1 फॉर्म्स अ प्रॉपर सीक्वेंस third talks specifically about research and the lab of research all right so if you see that this research or maybe this research and you kind of link it to third, that's a trap. That is a trap. Okay, that's a trap option. Because third talks specifically about research, while in fourth and fifth, research is not the main item. Research is not the hero of the sentence. The hero here is self-care. Here also, hero is children self-care. Okay, here it's latchkey children, again self-care. So third has got a different hero than other statements. That is why third will be the correct one here. Third is going to be the wrong one. Clear? 2 4 5 1 is the correct sequence. Is that all right? Coming to the next one. Okay. The banning of northern lights could be considered A precursor to banning of northern lights, precursor to censoring books for moral, worldview, or religious reasons. By the way, it looks like northern lights को ban कैसे कर सकते हैं? You know what is northern lights? Aurora Borealis. You can't ban northern lights, but now we know, okay, probably northern lights is a book, okay? So it's a precursor to censoring books for moral, worldview, or religious reasons, okay? Attempts to ban books or attempts to silence authors will summon immense courage in telling their stories. By now, we don't know because both look, kind of correct. Both look, in a way, coherent. Now, the banning and challenging of books in the US has escalated to an unprecedented level. ये इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहा है बैंस को in the US. Okay, the widely acclaimed fantasy novel Northern Lights was banned in some parts of US and second most challenged book in the US. So 3 and 4 from mandatory pair for sure. 3 introduces the act of banning, okay, in the US, and 4 talks about an example of Northern Lights that it was banned. Okay, so it is introduced as an example, but soon after comma, it is introduced as the hero of the sentence. The Northern Lights going to be the hero of the entire paragraph. ठीक है ना? Northern Lights in before comma, the former part of the sentence looks like it is just an example, but it doesn't serve as an example. It is something which is the second most challenged book of the US. And after that, obviously, this case links to which one? Which one? Okay, fifth. Let's say fifth also. The American Library Association documented an unparalleled number of reported book challenges. Oh, okay, तो ये भी है. तो यहाँ पे बोल रहा है कि ठीक है. तो basically 4 comes after 3, but exactly after 3 we don't really know because if you read the fifth statement, third talks about act of challenging books and banning in US. Fifth talks about that library association documented challenges with in so many books. Okay. Then it comes to an example of Northern Lights, and then it explains why Northern Lights was banned. So 3, 5, 4 is the most coherent sequence. Second is something which is out of context here. Probably second can be the beginning of the next paragraph. That is a possibility in the huge passage, but second is not forming the coherence because second is all about authors and less about banning. Is that clear? And second, the hero of the sentence is authors, not the banning. Is that clear? So two is क्रिश क्या बोल रहे 3 to 3 क्या बोल रहे हो? अच्छा तीनों को बता रहे हो ओ ओके इज दैट क्लियर एवरीवन नेक्स्ट translators are like bumblebees right ठीक है Though long, though long scientifically disproved, this factoid is still routinely trotted out. We don't know. दोनों को देख नहीं रहा sequence. Okay. Similar pronouncements about the impossibility of translation, translators. All right. Have dog practitioners since Leonardo Bruni days Interpretation Recta published in 1424. All right. Bees unaware of these deliberations have continued to flit from flower to flower and translators continue to translate. In 1934, the French entomologist Auguste Magnin pronounced the flight of the bumblebee to be aerodynamically impossible. एकदम से सब कुछ चेंज नहीं हो गया कि एक तरफ आ रहा है बात यहाँ पे ट्रांसलेशन की एक तरफ आ रहा है बम्बल बीज की दो अलग अलग चीजें हैं तो इसमें हम क्या करें एग्जैक्टली हम करें क्या हालांकि एक बात तो कंफर्म है कि तुम लोग समझ चुके होगे कि दो में बीस की बात करी गई है राइट और किसमें बीस की तीन में बात करी गई इनफैक्ट और फिर ट्रांसलेटर्स की बात करी गई जिनके बारे में फिर से बात कर दी गई है थर्ड में बट जो सेकेंड है लॉन्ग साइंटिफिकली डिस्प्रूव्ड व्हाट हैज बीन डिस्प्रूव्ड bumblebee's behavior translation's behavior don't really know second is kind of very vague so second will be the odd one out is that clear I think this one was easy. Cool. Two is the answer. इसके बाद हम चले गए थे पैरा समरीज में. Okay. Now, पैरा समरी को करने का बेस्ट तरीका क्या होता है? I'll tell you. Without reading the options, it is impossible to tell, but I'll tell you certain things. In para summary, you just need to look at the main argument, first of all, then supporting arguments. All right. Now, if supporting argument has got an example and that example has been deliberately um, talked about again and again. So a para summary, the best para summary would be including all these elements, the main argument, supporting argument, and if the example is kind of talked about a lot, then that will also be included. That is the main thing of para summary. All right, so in a way, we have to look at all the key sentences, key words, or key phrases, and then go to the exact para summary. Is that clear? All right. Do you understand that? So let's try and solve this. There is an increase. Okay, let me just erase this part. Understood? Everybody tell me yes or no. Now, gradually, life for the island's bird is improving. Antarctic prions and white-headed petrels, they are examples of the birds, which also nest in burrows, had managed to cling on some sites while pests were on the island. The numbers are now increasing. It is fantastic and so exciting, Shaw says. As birds return to breed, they also poo. This adds nutrients to the soil, which in turn helps the plants to grow back stronger. Tall plants then help burrowing birds hide from predatory skuas. It's wonderful feedback loop. So it's kind of they have talked about the ecosystem. All right, ecosystem. Shaw says, today the pretty paddock that Houghton first experiences has been transformed. The tussock is over your head and you are dodging all these penguins' tunnels. She says the orchids and tiny herb that had been protected by fencing have started turning up all over the place. So basically in Antarctic, things are getting better for the flora and fauna. That is what they want to say over here. Right. So, so all the birds, the flora and fauna, see, all those are not important because all these are examples. They serve as examples, but the examples have not been talked about much. Do you understand that? There's not just one example that has been talked about much. There are multiple examples. So examples hold no value in the para summary. Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear? Chalo. Let's look at the summaries. There is an increasing number of predatory birds and plants on the island despite the presence of pests, which is a positive development. In the absence of pests, life on the island is now protected, and there has been a revival of variety of birds and plants. Exactly. When explaining that, I already told that this passage is all about the development in flora and fauna. Do you know these words? Flora refers to all the plant life, vegetation, and fauna refers to all the animal life. All right, in case you don't know, flora and fauna. So B looks like correct to me. Let's see also. There's a huge positive transformation of ecosystem of the island when brought under environmental protection. Now, C is also true, but C is highly generic. C is highly generic, while B talks about the specific thing, specific summary. The flowering plants, herbs, and birds are now being protected in on this wonderful Antarctic island. That's also true. But you know what? The most important part is in the absence of pests. This is something, so B is specific and C and D are generic, so we'll go for B, not for C and D. Clear? Understood, everyone? So B is correct over here. Next. McGurk and MacDonald reported a powerful multisensory illusion occurring with audio visual speech. Okay, so by now we kind of understand that maybe McGurk, McDonald, multisensory illusion, all these look like keywords. We'll see which has been talked about more. Do you understand that? So there are paragraphs in which in the first sentence itself, lot of keywords have already been introduced. Like here, the name of the people, they might be, kind of relevant and multi-sensory illusion, then audio visual speech. तो ये सब बातें इंपॉर्टेंट यहाँ पे लग रही हैं, ठीक है? They recorded a voice articulating a consonant ba 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 and dubbed it with a face articulating another consonant ga ga ga. Even though the acoustic speech signal was well recognized alone, it was heard as another consonant after dubbing with incongruent visual speech, that is da da da. The illusion termed as the McGurk effect. So basically, McGurk was important, right? Has been replicated many times. So see, I'll tell you what. These two guys reported something. Then what exactly happened has been talked about from this. I'll use blue ink from this to this. And then this is an illusion. And this illusion is known as McGurk effect. Okay, has been replicated many times and has sparked an abundance of research. The reason for the great impact is that this is a striking demonstration of multisensory integration, with that auditory and visual information is merged into a unified integrated percept. So basically, the passage is all about, in the summary, we should talk about McGurk effect, what it means, okay, and the research. Let's see which one is the best possible choice. A, when the auditory speech signal does not match the visual speech movements, acoustic speech confusing. Okay, ठीक है, बात सही है, पर क्या summary है? Let's see. When the quality of auditory information is poor, the visual information wins over the auditory information. The McGurk effect, which is demonstration of multisensory integration, has been repeated. ये बात भी सही है, but is that the summary? Visual speech mismatched with auditory speech can result in perception of entirely different messages. This is known as the wow. Perfect. So D is the best choice here because D actually talks about McGurk effect and what it actually is. Now tell me something. After I explained, how many of you changed your answers and how many had D already correct? This is very important. And also, when I explained, do you feel is more understandable? Yes or no? Is that the case? Got it? चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. यहाँ शुरू करते हैं. ये मैम ने करा नहीं था. So the third round. Already correct? Krish, very good. Wow, you guys are fabulous. Thanks, Ankit, for saying that. Next. Next. सेम है क्या? ओह, आई एम सो सॉरी। हियर वी गो फॉर नेक्स्ट। ये भी सेम है। ओह नो। ओके, हो गया, ठीक है। कितने हमने किए यहाँ पे अभी? ओनली वन। डोंट वरी, आई एम ओपनिंग द सेकंड वन, द नेक्स्ट दिस थिंग file. Okay. Till then, post your scores. Tell me till now what your scores are. इस फाइल में एक ही पैराग्राफ समरी और है, उसके दो है ना? हाँ, दो है, ठीक है। I'll explain this and then we'll move on to the next file. Okay. So, language is an autopomorphy found only in our lineage. ये क्या होता है? I think I explained this in the previous session also, right? And not shared with other branches of our group such as primates. ये वो होता है, ऐसी चीजें जो सिर्फ किसी एक बड़े से, जैसे कि मान लो वी आर apes, right? We are all apes, humans. We are primates in which we are humans. Then there are gorillas, orangutans, chimpanzees, etc. Isn't it? They are there. So anthropomorphy is something, a kind of trait which is found in just one species, that is us, Homo sapiens. इसके पहले, हमसे पहले फिर Homo neanderthalis, Cro-Magnon men, Homo erectus, Australopithecus. I don't know whether you know these names or not. Is that true? People from bio background, they were knowing it. We also have no definitive evidence that any species other than Homo sapiens. So हम Homo sapiens हैं, हमसे पहले और सारे थे. Homo is entire humans ever had language. However, it must be noted straight away that language is not a monolithic entity, but rather a complex bundle of traits that must have evolved over a significant time frame. Moreover, language crucially draws on aspects of cognition that are long established in the primate lineage, such as memory. The language faculty as a whole comprises more than just a uniquely linguistic feature. So basically, here, memory is what develops language. That is the hero of the passage. Also, it talks about that we autopomorphy. It's an autopomorphy, but that is supporting thing. Main is this, that how language is formed. Let's see. Language, a derived trait found only in humans, has evolved over time and involves memory. That's right. Okay. लैंग्वेज डिस्टिंक्टिवली ह्यूमन फीचर, देयर इज नो एविडेंस ऑफ एक्सटेंशन. ये तो नहीं होगा कि इसके अंदर ना लैंग्वेज बनी कैसे, वो नहीं बताया गया. सी, लैंग्वेज इवॉल्व विद लिंग्विस्टिक फीचर्स बिल्डिंग ऑन फीचर्स ऑफ कॉग्निशन मेमोरी. Okay. Language is not a single uniform entity, but the end result of a long and complex process of linguistic evolution. So D here and C here. All right. Which one should we choose? C, D almost look same, right? Hmm. यहाँ लिखा है ड्राइव फाउंड ओनली ह्यूमंस. ए को हम रिजेक्ट कर सकते हैं. व्हाई? बिकॉज इट सेज ओनली ह्यूमंस. नाउ ओनली ह्यूमंस within primates. There can be other animals also. So that is why A is kind of a too specific option, right? ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे हमारे पास दो चीजें हैं, सी और डी. विच वन शुड बी रिजेक्ट? ध्यान से देखते हैं फिर से. लैंग्वेज का इवोल्यूशन हुआ लिंग्विस्टिक फीचर्स जिसमें कॉग्निशन के फीचर्स थे, जैसे कि मेमोरी. ओके. यहाँ पे लैंग्वेज एक सिंगल यूनिफॉर्म एंटिटी नहीं है. एंड रिजल्ट है बहुत लंबे प्रोसेस का, जो कि लिंग्विस्टिक एवोल्यूशन है. तो ये कौन सा प्रोसेस था? इट्स नॉट स्पेसिफिक. स्पेसिफिक सी, विल गो फॉर सी. ऑल राइट. आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ यू हैव अंडरस्टूड दिस. नाउ कम नेक्स्ट वन. टू मी अ क्लासिक narrative. To me, a classic means precisely the opposite of what my predecessors understood. A work is classic by reason of its resistance to contemporaneity and supposed universality, by reason of its capacity to indicate human particularity and difference in the past epoch. The classic is not what tells me about shared humanity, or more truthfully put, what lets me recognize myself as already present in the past. What nourishes in me is the illusion that everything has been like me and has existed only to prepare the way for me. Instead, the classic is what gives access to radically different forms of human consciousness for any given generation of readers, thereby expands for them the range of possibilities of what it means to be a human being. ठीक है, so basically classic here for him, the author of this passage, he says classic is something, which is not just universal, because he says supposed universality. It's not just universal, it's not just contemporary. Okay, it is something which makes you feel that what humans are, how humans behave, okay, in different parameters, situations, generations. That is what classic essentially means. Let's read. फर्स्ट सेज क्लासिक इज एबल टू फोकस ऑन कंटेम्प्रेरी ह्यूमन कंडीशन यूनिफाइड एक्सपीरियंस ह्यूमन। ये बात सच है, पर ये बोल रहा है कि यहाँ पे इसने बोला है कि क्लासिक वो होगा जो कंटेम्प्रेरी वाले चीज़ों से बाहर निकल जाए। तो ए इज रिजेक्टेड। बी, क्लासिक वर्क सीक्स टू रेजिस्ट पर्टिकुलरिटी and temporal difference even as it focuses on a common humanity. Classic is a work exploring the new, going beyond the universal, contemporary notion of unified. C looks correct to me. D says classic is a work that provides access to universal experience of the human race as opposed to radically different forms of human consciousness. C is a better choice because C talks about going beyond the universal and the contemporary, okay, and understanding what humans are. So C is the correct option over here. Vansh, Shoaib, okay, Avi, how many got this correct? Tell me your scores now. And this file is over. Let me go to another file. I'll just open that. Here we are. Where is my other file? Yes, this is the one. Oh no, just a moment. I need to re-upload it. Not to worry. Here is it. Okay, well, no problem. It must be PJ लिखा होगा उसके ऊपर. Parajumbles. Oh, ये रहा. There we go. This is correct. All right. ठीक है. Till now, how are you liking this? Do you think this is going to help you day after tomorrow? Are you getting some new learnings over here? Or is it that you are just here for doing the quiz? Poll bunch. Now I think we can have the poll. You're totally right about this. Sentence rearrangement. Now there are 23 questions. Parajumble. Why I'm focusing more on parajumbles? Because parajumbles might return. Okay. We'll do odd one out and para summaries as well. Don't worry. We'll do everything. So let's start. And here is the timer. Also, I will start poll now. शुभ बचा तो वो प्रैक्टिस हो रहा है. कुछ कुछ वो नहीं हो रहा. कुछ लर्निंग नहीं आ रही. Here we have the poll. आंसर विजिबल है. वाह, ये जो नई वाली स्लाइड थी इसमें आंसर है. पहला का विजिबल है तो पहले वाले को हम हटा देते हैं, ठीक है. पहला आपके लिए नहीं होगा. इज दैट कूल? ठीक है. लेट्स स्टार्ट इट फ्रॉम द सेकंड वन. पोल शुरू होगा यहाँ से। ये तो हो चुका है, अनसॉल्व मिस्ट्री हो चुका है, रेड हिल बीकन्स हो चुका है, यस, मेरिटोक्रेसी। लेट्स स्टार्ट फ्रॉम हियर। पीयूष, ये मेरा ग्लिच हुआ एक्चुअली। आई हैव ट्रेन्ड एन एआई to just go and crawl through different websites and bring up a compilation of PDF, compilation of all the questions. उससे बोला था मैंने कि आंसर मत देना, तो उसने आंसर भी निकाल लिया है, बिकॉज AI hallucinates, you know that, right? Nothing, this poll doesn't work here. You'll have to write the answers. वो ऑड वन ऑर्डर पैरा समरी में आएगा वो। कुछ लोगों ने वोट कर भी दिया है। Oh no, I am on mute. Wow. That is the reason that I was kind of asking questions and you were not replying. I was like, oh, why these guys are not replying at all? I'm so sorry, guys. Anyways, I'll do it again. Okay, I'll do it again. So, so let's see. I'll just read the first two or three three words. The more we are able to accept with the raft of recent books, meritocracy as an organizing principle, and that in turn should increase. So I'll start with three because, see, my idea is to start with the smallest statement, the shortest statement first of all, right? But here all statements are like equal in length, almost equal in length. So I read the first two or three words, and then I realized that we should start with third because third actually starts with a noun. It actually introduces something, some idea. So maybe there's a high chance that third might introduce the entire paragraph. Meritocracy as an organizing principle is an inevitable function of a free society, as we're designed to see our achievements as worthy of reward. All right, ठीक है. थ्री को मैंने लिखा है, मुझे पता नहीं पहला है आखिरी है क्या है कुछ नहीं पता. दूसरा पढ़ता हूँ, फोर्थ पढ़ता हूँ. And that in turn should increase our humility and the respect with which we treat our fellow citizens, helping ultimately to build a more compassionate society. So fourth is obviously not the opening statement. Fourth should come after something, and fourth will come after something which talks about the treatment to fellow citizens or how fellow citizens behave or a compassionate society or humility, respect, all that stuff. So whichever statement talks about that, that will precede statement four. Is that clear? Let's read. First one says, the more we are able to accept that our achievements are largely out of our control, the easier it becomes to understand that our failures and those of others are too. Oh, looks like one comes before four. Immediately before four or not, we're not sure unless we read the second statement. Right? Shaped, that all depends on the context. The way I'm solving, I'm thinking out loud. That is how you should be, kind of thinking about it. Now, second says, but the raft of recent books about the limits of merit is an important correction to the arrogance of contemporary entitlement and an opportunity to reassert the importance of luck or grace in our thinking. All right. So, here we think that we are achievements are as worthy of reward. And second one starts with but and gives a counter logic which says it can also be, we also have to assert the importance of luck or grace. So second one gives an other explanation that meritocracy might not, just be, your achievements are worthy of reward. It might also be importance of luck. That also should be kept in mind. And moreover, the moment we understand that it can be luck or praise, so we cannot, we will accept, we have to accept that it is, they are largely out of our control. That is how we can empathize with others. And if we empathize with others, it increases our humility. So 3 to 1 for the most plausible sequence. Is that clear? So with every solution, your answer will be, your question will be answered. See, the thing is, VARC is language. It's not mathematics. It's not logical. Obviously, language has reasoning. Language might have mathematical undertones, but at the very same time, a language is grammatical. Language has got a lot of read between the lines kind of things. A lot of words which probably don't make sense if you read it, just in the flow. So what I always tell my students that people who are good in VRC are two kinds of people. One who read things thoroughly, two who are lying. I'll repeat. People who good in VRC are kind two types of people. One who read thoroughly, others who are lying. Okay, that's it. Well, so 3214 is going to be your answer over here. So with every example, your this question that what has to be done will be answered. Next one. Is that clear? You guys can laugh a little. I don't make it a boring this thing. All right. So now we have something about the US. Okay, let's see. The US has long maintained that the Northwest Passage is an international strait through which its commercial and military vessels have the right to pass without seeking Canada's permission. ठीक है, यूएस को तो हमेशा ही लगता ही है, इट्स लाइक दे आर इंस्क्रूटेबल. तभी ये हालत हो रही है. हमको लगे हमें कनाडा से क्या पूछ रहे हैं, हम जा सकते हैं. ओके ठीक है भाई. फर्स्ट लिखते हैं वी डोंट नो. इट 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 it kind of opens, concludes. We don't know anything about it. We just know that US has long maintained this stance that we can cross this Northwest Passage without seeking Canada's permission. Okay, cool. Canada, which officially acquired the group of islets forming the Northwest Passage in 1880, claims sovereignty over all the shipping routes through the passage. So obviously two should come before one, immediately before one or not, we don't really know. Okay. कनाडा ने क्या किया, ग्रुप वो नॉर्थ वेस्ट पैसेज ग्रुप ऑफ आइलैंड्स थे वहां पे, दे माइट बी एन आर्किपेलागो, व्हिच यू नो व्हाट इज आर्किपेलागो, ग्रुप ऑफ आइलैंड्स। उन्होंने 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 उनको एक्वायर किया 1880 में। उन्हें सॉवरेंटी चाहिए, हमें हमारा ही अधिकार है, स्वराज, सोवरेंटी हमारा है, तो जितने भी यहाँ शिपिंग रूट्स होंगे उस पर हमारा अधिकार है भाई। बट यूएस बोलता है ऐसा कुछ नहीं है यार, हमारी मर्जी, हम जाएंगे। ओके, चलो ठीक है। सो वन विल कम आफ्टर टू, इमीडिएटली आफ्टर टू और नॉट, वी डोंट नो। The dispute could be transitory, however, as scientists speculate that the entire Arctic Ocean will soon be ice-free in summer, so ship owners will not have to ask for permission to sail through any of the Northwest Passage routes. Okay, summer में दिक्कत नहीं आएगी, ठीक है? The US and Canada have never legally settled the question of access through the passage, but have an agreement whereby the US needs to seek. नीचे दिख नहीं रहा क्या, नीचे वाला? नीचे वाला शायद दिख ही नहीं रहा, कोई बोल भी नहीं रहा। लास्ट लाइन दिख रही है? नहीं दिख रही है। आंसर कैसे किया है? थोड़ा सा मैं इसे नीचे करता हूँ स्ट्रिप को। ओके। Hmm. But have an agreement whereby the US needs to seek Canada's consent for any transit. ठीक है, ओके। तो यहाँ पे जो यूएस ने को लगता है कि हम जा सकते हैं वहाँ पे, अब यहाँ बात आई है कि ठीक है भाई, कनाडा को लगता है कि नहीं, है ना, कि कनाडा का कंसेंट चाहिए ही चाहिए। तो फोर टॉक्स अबाउट यू व्हाई दिस एंटायर आर्गुमेंट इज देयर। बाय द वे, थ्री ऑफर सोल्यूशन, सोल्यूशन की कोई बात नहीं, वेट कर लो, समर्स में सब खुल जाए, कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं है, आगे चले जाना। 2 1 4 is the most possible sequence, that's it, nothing else. Is that clear, everyone? Looks good. Next, चलो शुरू करते हैं। But today there is an epochal challenge. We are at a crossroads now. छोटा स्टूडेंट पहले शुरू करता हूँ, मेरी आदत है, तुम जानते हो, मैं टू लिखूंगा यहाँ पे। We are at a crossroads now in our vision and practice of development. Crossroads, समझते हो, हमें पता नहीं कहाँ जाना है, चौराहा, ठीक है, कहाँ जाना है पता ही नहीं। ओके, कूल। सो व्हेन वी से वी आर क्रॉसरोड्स, दैट मींस वी डोंट नो वेयर टू गो। डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट द फ्रेज, द मीनिंग ऑफ द फ्रेज? नाउ this calls for the cultivation of an appropriate ethical mode of being in our lives, which enables us to realize this global and planetary situation of shared living and responsibility. तो यहाँ पे मेन बात क्या है कि भाई हमें जो 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 लाइफस्टाइल है, द वे वी लिव, वी काइंड ऑफ ह्यूमंस को लिव, इस पे बात हो रही है। Fourth says half a century ago, development began as a hope for a better human possibility, but in the last 50 years, this hope has lost itself in the dreary desert of various kind of hegemonic applications. Hegemony, power, practice of power. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे लग रहा है कि इस टाइम पे हम now presently we are at crossroads. Half a century ago, development began as a hope. 2 and 4 फॉर मैंडेटरी पेयर। आज हम इस हालत में है, पर पहले ये रहा था, ठीक है, लेकिन पिछले 50 साल में ऐसा हुआ नहीं है, क्योंकि हेजेमनी पावर कंट्रोल इज देयर। ओके, ठीक है, इन द ग्रेट डेजर्ट ऑफ वेरियस काइंड्स ऑफ हेजेमनिक एप्लीकेशंस। लेकिन आजकल, बट टुडे देयर इज एन इपोकल चैलेंज। व्हाट इज इपोक? इपोक, a previous period of time. It can be 10 years, 15 years, it can be century. Epoch basically cannot be quantified. You understand that? Epoch is not quantifiable. Century मतलब 100 साल, decade मतलब 10 साल, यहाँ पे quantify नहीं होता। Epoch, एक period, the period governed by cultural and social influences. All right, that is an epoch. Okay, like industrial epoch. So, epochal challenge to rethink and reconstitute the vision and practice of development as a shared responsibility, a sharing which binds both the agent and the audience, developed world and the developing in a bond of shared destiny. ठीक है, तो ये चैलेंज जो है, this calls for cultivation of appropriate ethical mode. Oh wow, so challenge calls for an ethical mode. So 2 4 1 3 is the most possible sequence. We don't have to look at every word to make sense of it. Just by looking at few words we can make sense of it, but at the very same time you need to read each and every word carefully. Is that clear? To make sense, few words are required, but to make sense of what makes sense, you need to read everything. Am I being loopy here? I'll repeat. To make sense of a parajumble, only few words are required. But to make sense of which few words are required, you need to read everything. Is that clear or not? Next. ये कर लिया था? Did this? Yes or no? Did I give it to you? Okay, I think I did. Chalo. Good writers use more verbs. Wow. However, it is hard to write without verbs. बहुत अच्छी बात है. The reason is हो गया तो A के बाद C आएगा. Good writers use more verbs. The reason is that if unnecessary words are reduced, the verb percentage goes up as a mathematical necessity. ठीक है. लेकिन रिड्यूस करने से ये होगा, लेकिन भाई आप लिख ही नहीं पाएंगे बिना वर्ब्स के. ठीक है. So use verbs is not really good advice. Writers have to use verbs, and trying to add extra ones would not turn out well. ACPD, I think this is, I don't think that this even requires much of explanation, or does it? All right. Yeah. ये तो थोड़ा इजी वाला था. Hard verbs, so use of not really good advice. चलो, cool. Next. The French Revolution. The French Revolution, यहाँ पे सब कुछ बराबर ही है देखने में लग रहे हैं. चलो पढ़ते हैं. The French Revolution, it ushered in modernity, that vision is enshrined. Okay, all that stuff is there. Hmm. All right. फ्रेंच बार बार फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन आ रहा है यहाँ पे. ठीक है ना, चलो देखने की कोशिश करते हैं. The French Revolution created a vision for a new moral universe. Sovereignty resides in nations. Constitution and rule of law govern politics. ठीक है. French Revolution invented modern revolution, idea that humans can transform the world according to a plan, and so has a central place in the study of the social sciences. ठीक है भाई. It ushered in modernity by destroying the foundations of the old regime, absolutist politics, legal inequality, or feudal economy. All right. It. ठीक है. That vision is enshrined in the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen of 1789, whose proclamation of natural, imprescriptible, and inalienable rights served as model for 1948 UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights. ये 1948 में एंड में हुआ, तो ये पक्का इसका समरी है, राइट? समरी नहीं बोल सकते इसको, बोल देंगे एंड में यही आना चाहिए, बिकॉज दिस समराइज द एंटायर पैराग्राफ. ऑब्वियसली इट्स नॉट अ समरी ऑफ एवरीथिंग, बट it now discuss that whatever has been done earlier serves the model of new Declaration of Human Rights. Okay, cool. D serves as summary. ठीक है. Obviously C cannot start, that is for sure. Either A or B will start. So A talks about vision of a new moral universe, and B talks about invented modern revolution. So this is a more generic approach. So we'll start from general and go to specific. ठीक है. मॉडर्न रेवोल्यूशन की इंसान प्लान के अकॉर्डिंग चीज़ें चेंज कर सकते हैं, तो इनका एक सेंट्रल प्लेस है सोशल साइंसेज में, है ना? और ओके 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 ओके. नाउ व्हाट शुड फॉलो आफ्टर दिस? इट कैन बी BCA, इट कैन बी BAC. क्या होना चाहिए आइडियली, कैसे मालूम पड़ेगा? ठीक है. C talks about the modernity, C talks about ushered modernity because it destroyed the old regime. C talked to the old regime, and A talks about a new moral universe. New, old regime, new moral universe. So old comes first, new comes second. It's a chronological sequence. So BCAD is the most possible choice. It's basically chronology based. Chronology based. PJ, do you understand that chronology? जहाँ पे हमें टाइम की सेंस आ जाए कि इस टाइम के बाद ये होना चाहिए, इस टाइम के बाद फिर ये होना चाहिए. दैट इज अ chronological based parajumble. Clear? Looks like it's highly philosophical, word driven, a lot of verbatim is used, but it's essentially a chronology based parajumble. Good. Let's go to next one. यहाँ तक किया था, ये हमने नहीं किया था, ये नहीं किया था ना? तुम लोग करना है ये. Aman, how be first? I think I told you, right? Didn't I? B is general premise, no? The French Revolution invented modern revolution. यहाँ बोला है क्रिएटिव विजन फॉर न्यू मॉरल यूनिवर्स, कुछ नया हुआ है यहाँ पे। और एग्जैक्ट बात कही गई यहाँ पे, एग्जैक्ट बात नहीं कही गई, यहाँ बोला कि मॉडर्न रिवोल्यूशन है जिसमें बहुत कुछ हुआ, बाद में न्यू मॉरल यूनिवर्स बन गया, दैट इज वाई बी विल बी द फर्स्ट वन। क्लियर? ये कर लिया था, चलिए ये भी करते हैं, सॉल्व करते हैं। साउथ पोल टेलीस्कोप। ओके, सब बराबर ही है सेंटेंस लेंथ में ऑलमोस्ट, तो शुरू से ही शुरू करते हैं। During 24-hour darkness of the austral autumn and winter, the South Pole Telescope operates non-stop under impeccable conditions for astronomy. Impeccable conditions for. I'll just write A over here. Obviously, A cannot open क्योंकि ये पहले साउथ पोल टेलीस्कोप के बारे में बताना पड़ेगा कुछ ना कुछ, ठीक है। एटमॉस्फेयर इज थिन, पोल is more than इतना feet above sea level, stable due to absence of heating and cooling effects of rising setting sun. Okay, cool. We understand that as well. South Pole has the harshest environment on Earth, but also the most benign, says William Halsefeld. Okay, astrophysicist. ठीक, साउथ पोल के बारे में बात करिए। From an astronomer's perspective, not until sun goes down, stays down March to September does the South Pole get benign. All right, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे सी में बोला गया है एक महान इंसान के द्वारा कि वहाँ पे इट्स द मोस्ट बेनाइन एनवायरनमेंट, and then how does it get benign has been talked in D, so C and D for mandatory pair for sure. Clear? Now ये जब ऐसा होता है, sun goes down, stays down March to September, then comes the this thing, and that is the autumn and winter, right? Not until sun goes down, this is summer, and apart from it, it's विंटर। तो सीजन्स की बात करी गई है, तो ए आना चाहिए। फिर बी में यहाँ बता दिया गया कि भाई ये एक समराइज कर रहा है कि अल्टीमेटली वहां पे होता क्या है, उस पोल पे होता क्या है। तो सी डी ए बी इज द मोस्ट प्लॉजिबल सीक्वेंस। क्लियर? ये भी किया हुआ है शोएब। Okay, so now comes the, I'll read the shortest statement first. All of you know that by now. As operating systems, Latin and French outlived the strategic preeminence of Roman France. All right, this can open the statement. Obviously, this can, we're not really sure, but anyways, I'll just write A over here. Let's read further. Nor will Chinese, Russian, or Indian culture soon shoulder aside the American version, high or low, whose straw is embodied by Harvard and Hollywood. Wow. देखो, अमेरिका में जो है ना, हार्वर्ड और हॉलीवुड, ये जो एक कल्चरल सिग्निफिकेंस इस चीज़ का, जो अमेरिका को एकदम से वो करता है, आउटशाइन कर देता है हर किसी से, राइट? But obviously, B cannot open the paragraph. We just have to keep in mind it starts with nor. Okay, इसमें neither या not आना चाहिए. Let's see also. Once the standard exists, it tends to perpetuate itself, just like the dollar. For all its ups and downs, will not soon yield to the euro or renminbi. Hmm. ऐसा नहीं होगा, ना ही चाइनीज, रशियन, इंडियन में होगा। ठीक है भाई। सो सी एंड बी आर मैंडेटरी पेयर्स। वी नॉट रियली श्योर दैट वेदर सी स्टार्ट्स और नॉट, इट कैन ए बी ए आल्सो। By such measures, no other rival, not even China, comes close to America, whatever the country's many familiar things and riches of the rising West. Okay. Latin and French outlived preeminence of Roman France. By such measures, no other rival, not even China, come close. Okay. What are the country's many familiar things and riches of the rising East? All right. हम्म, हम्म। ठीक है, तो यहाँ हमें कंफ्यूजन इस बात का है कि ए से स्टार्ट होना चाहिए कि सी से स्टार्ट होना चाहिए। बाय सच मेजर्स, ऑल दीज थिंग्स हैपनिंग, स्टैंडर्ड exists, तो डी स्टैंडर्ड एंड दस मेजर्स, सो डी इज कंक्लूडिंग द पैराग्राफ, and A will come before C or not, that is what we need to understand. So once a standard exists as operating systems, नहीं, तो इसका मतलब ये है कि जो A है ना वो D से कम और B से ज़्यादा जुड़ा हुआ है। So C is the one which talks about the standard being existing, and then how America is kind of um, can outshine everything else. Okay, and as operating systems, Latin French outlived, ये हुआ था, पर इस measure इन चीज़ों से कोई भी कोई भी, not even China can come close to America. So CB8 is the most possible sequence. Yeah. Next. ये नहीं किया हम लोगों ने शायद. ये किया था? Plant evolution. I think no. Did we? We didn't. Chalo. So let's start. The time starts now. Aman, did you ask something? Where? कहाँ पूछा था? अच्छा बहुत पहले हाँ बता दिया था मैंने ठीक है ओके दिस वन guys just after this like at 11:30 we have an FMS SOP session and I think a lot of you must have filled the form of FMS already. हाँ अच्छा पहले ही सॉल्व कर लो then I'll ask you a question. All right, Shoaib. Let's see. Next. Before we go to the next one, I want to ask a question. Um, Normally, there's an industry norm that these sessions have black background and white text. That is like everywhere, almost everywhere. I just tried to do something here. I wanted to have a white, clean text because it is less straining to the eyes and have not black but dark gray kind of text with a slight this thing. So basically, white slide, light slide, and dark text. So what do you like more, that one or this one? Because there's a kind of survey for me and I'm going to use that light background and dark theme and dark text. Tell me that. Coming to next question. Sure. Okay. Wow. So dark theme is better. That means dark background. Okay, everybody likes that only. चलो वही कर लेंगे फिर. मुझे लगा ज्यादा सुंदर दिख रहा है. Anyways. ये भी सही है शब, हाँ ठीक है। कीप ऑन एक्सपेरिमेंटिंग। Hey Shashank, you are here, just joined I think। ओके ओके, दोनों ही करते हैं। एक काम करते हैं, नई नई चीजें करते रहते हैं, कोई एक नहीं, मल्टीपल चीजें। नेक्स्ट मंथ कलर्स में खेलते हैं, कलर्स इज द लाइफ है। ओके। Yes, sure, yes. That point has already taken care of. All right, sure. Here we go. Mandate of heaven. Yes, Shashank, question change हुआ। See, timer on the top. No, no, we are discussing. After 5 to 6 questions, we are discussing. Obviously, we'll discuss. There is not with every question though, because that kills a lot of time. So I've devised a strategy so that we'll do maximum questions in minimum time. This optimization of time and resources, right? That is what management is all about. Hmm. After this question, we'll be discussing all of it. Keep on answering. All right. So now we'll be discussing the questions. All right. Okay. So here we go. We were at, we started from here, plant evolution. Okay, Shashank, you can answer it here itself. Got it? Now, see, the idea is to start with the because Shashank, you just joined late, and a lot of people might have joined late. So, idea to solve this is to look for the shortest statement, not for any academic or literary purpose, just for the time-saving technique, nothing else. And I always believe in reading all the words. Okay, the equally familiar grasses appeared even more recently. Even more recently. What does that mean? That obviously C cannot start the paragraph. I'll just write C over here, and based on this C, I'll just add on other things. D. Flowering plants only appear in the middle of dinosaur era. Only appeared in the middle of the dinosaur era. Okay, we don't know. But one thing is right for sure that D will definitely come before C. Immediately before C or not, that's we are not sure about because we have not read other options, other statements till yet. Why I'm sure about that? Because it says recent, it says in the middle of dinosaur era, appeared. There is a past and present, so chronological sequence is there for sure. Now, let's read A. The oldest fossil grasses are just 70 million years old, although grass may have evolved a bit earlier than that. Hmm, okay. B says there have been land plants for 465 million years, yet there were no flowers or over two-thirds of that time. Cool, then B starts. Chronological sequence है कुछ करना ही नहीं है इसके अंदर BDC is the correct sequence. I hope all of you got it correct. The chronological sequence, and there's also a flow of chain of events, right? ठीक है. So C in chronology, C comes the last, even more recently, but it's not mentioned clearly. So that is why we are not really sure about that. And A is something which has summarized or kind of concluded everything. That grasses may evolve a bit earlier than that. Okay, coming to the next one. All right, Shashank, तुम बोल भी रहे थे कि BRC में प्रॉब्लम है. Okay, so the short statement first. The main beneficiary of this shift, which shift from explicit political clashes to new forms of culture war has been identity politics. Cool. Identity politics का या तो define कर दिया इसने इस statement में. I'll just write C over here. Either it has been defined or it has been, a characteristic feature of politics has been given. So essentially, they have given the characteristic feature of identity politics. Can I say that? So when you were kids, you remember that? Write the characteristic features of these and these. So these are the characteristic features, isn't it? Now let's read other छोटा statement B है. Identity politics constantly demands the creation of new identities and lifestyle groups, often hostile to one another. Hmm. Okay. यहाँ पे आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स का फीचर बताया गया है, फिर बताया है कि वो उसका फंक्शन वो करता क्या है, वो ये करता है. सो बी वुड बी कमिंग आफ्टर सी, इमीडिएटली आफ्टर सी, और सी वी आर नॉट रियली श्योर अबाउट दैट. लेट्स रीड अदर ऑप्शंस आल्सो. A says, nevertheless, the focus of otherwise very different movements, from cultural feminism to environmentalism to radical jihadism, is fundamentally the same: moral regulation. So you know what? A talks about that whatever is there, whatever kind of movement is there, be it feminism, be it environmentalism, be it radical jihadism, fundamentally they are all same. They come off, you know, essentially people are trying to regulate regulate morally. It's all about a power control. It's about moral regulation over others. So A defines that all movements are essentially moral regulation. Okay. ए कहाँ आएगा समझ नहीं आ रहा हमें, कोई बात नहीं, चलो डी पढ़ते हैं. Many of the political battles of the past 2 decades have actually been battles over cultural values, be it marriage, family, sexuality, abortion, immigration, Islam, or the EU. Many of the political battles of the past 2 decades have actually been battles over this. ठीक है, और ये होने के बाद इसका सबसे ज्यादा बेनिफिशियरी इस शिफ्ट का है, वो कौन है? एक्सप्लिसिट पॉलिटिकल क्लैशेस टू फॉर्म न्यू कल्चर्स, टू न्यू और न्यू फॉर्म्स ऑफ कल्चर वॉर. ये है आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स. जब ये सब चीजें हुई, ऑल द पॉलिटिकल बैटल्स, तो इनका बेनिफिशियरी शिफ्ट फ्रॉम पॉलिटिकल क्लैशेस टू न्यू फॉर्म्स ऑफ कल्चर वॉर. तो हो क्या रहा है? पॉलिटिकल बैटल सालों से चल रही थी, दशकों से चल रही थी, और इसके बाद चेंज हुआ कि अब ये जो बैटल है वो सिर्फ पॉलिटिकल क्लैश नहीं है, अब नई कल्चर वॉर भी बन चुकी है, which is identity politics, right? So D and C for mandatory pair. Cool, right? ठीक है, ये इसका मेन बेनिफिशियरी है. नेवरदलेस, साथ ही साथ जो फोकस जो है ना, ये दूसरे मूवमेंट्स पे जो है वो सब कुछ इन द एंड मॉरल रेगुलेशन ही है. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? सो दिस वर्ड नेवरदलेस, हाउएवर, ये सब वर्ड्स ऐसे हैं जो हमें कुछ चीजें एक्सटेंड करते हैं. तो ये आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स है, न्यू कल्चर वॉर, और बता रहा है कि ये जो फोकस जो डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ मूवमेंट्स में हुआ है, सब पहले क्या था? पॉलिटिकल मूवमेंट्स, पॉलिटिकल, फिर वो चला गया न्यू फॉर्म ऑफ कल्चर वॉर जो कि आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स कहलाती है. और ये जो नए मूवमेंट है, चाहे वो कल्चरल फेमिनिज्म हो, चाहे इन्वायरमेंटलिज्म हो, चाहे रेडिकल जिहादिज्म हो, ये सारे के सारे मॉरल रेगुलेशन के ऊपर ही बेस्ड हैं. तो अल्टीमेटली आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स करती क्या है? इट कॉन्स्टेंटली डिमांड्स क्रिएशन न्यू आइडेंटिटीज एंड लाइफस्टाइल ग्रुप्स ऑफ्टन हॉस्टाइल टू वन अनदर, दैट इज डीसीएबी. दिस इज अ ग्रेट, यू नो व्हाट, ठीक है, कैट में ये आया था और ये अच्छा है, ये ऐसे आ सकते हैं, ये अच्छा एग्जांपल है. बट अदरवाइज आल्सो, yeah, they are PYQs, Shashank. Otherwise, not just for that, even this is something which haunts me. It haunts me a lot. This identity politics, I'm really sick of it. These days, it's very difficult. कि थोड़ा सा मैं मतलब यहाँ से out of context जा रहा हूँ, but then the sake of having a relatability of what I'm saying, all of you might be aware of it, might be going through it. Sometimes you might be enjoying it. Sometimes you might be, pissed off by it. I get pissed off, seriously. Identity politics. I'm seriously do not even know what to talk to whom. I'm kind of, so that is why I do not. I just, I'm more like, okay, you say this, I'll do this. You say that, you are right. So, this is something which the proper openness, like we are feeling 21st century, we are growing as humans, culture is growing, technology is growing, we are free to discuss. But now, I somehow feel that we are being judged more than what, how we were in the probably as compared to last decade, maybe last century. Essentially, are we really growing? This is a question which haunts me every time. Seriously, that's really weird. Well, next, Indian village culture. हम्म, देखो यहाँ भी एक चीज वैसी आ गई है. वाओ, who has made this? Okay, so it starts with एक small देखते हैं. Land makes certain castes kingly in rural communities. All right. Zamindar, basically. Okay. Okay. D can start, D can follow. We don't know. Let's read other options as well, other statements as well. B says the control of such castes on local politics aggravates masculine hubris. Okay, masculine hubris. Such castes. तो लग रहा है कि बी डी के बाद ही आएगा. शायद तुरंत बाद में आ जाए. Let's read other statements as well. The bigotry of our village culture and polity is intrinsically linked to control of land and agriculture. Oh wow. So C is the one that introduces the concept because it is intrinsically the polity and culture bigotry of this linked with to control of land and agriculture, and that control of land is mentioned in statement D. And these castes, they aggravate masculine hubris. And now we should talk something about masculine hubris. That is patrilineal ownership of lands, or culture of dowry attached to it have turned daughters into bad debts. CDBA. अगर इसके बाद एक और स्टेटमेंट होता तो किसके बारे में होता? डॉटर्स के बारे में होता. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? है ना? राइट. कोल्ड वॉर. आई थिंक आई गिव इट टू यू. हाँ, कराया था, ठीक है. वेल, द कोल्ड वॉर. Smallest statement is C. Let's read C. Despite the aggressive rhetoric of this era, the Cold War was a period of relative peace between hostile geopolitical blocs. So when I started this session, I talked about one thing. I said in 90% of cases, a paragraph doesn't open with pronouns. Do you remember that? How many of you are here from the very first slide, the time the session began? It is like I discussed that in 90% cases that doesn't happen, but in 10% cases, a pronoun can actually open the statement, open the paragraph. And I give an example also. It was of Lord Ashoka the Great. It can be him being the best. Him being the best, comma, noun आ गया. Him being the best, Shah Rukh Khan did this. Okay. So here, this is an example in which the noun is coming before the pronoun is coming before the noun, right? I can see the similar kind of thing in C statement also. Despite the aggressive rhetoric of this era, the Cold War was a period of relative peace. Do you understand that? So the moment if someone sees pronoun here and think that C cannot open the paragraph, they are dramatically wrong. Do you get that? Do you understand that? So it's highly possible that C can open the paragraph. Okay. I'm not saying it will open the paragraph. It can open the paragraph, and you have to keep this option open. If you do not open that option, you are going to be doomed in parajumbles. How many of you? Okay, well, let me read the other options as or statements as well. In retrospect, what was remarkable about the Cold War was the ability of most of the major players to manage their conflict. Cool. I don't know where D will come. I'll just write D over here. Let's see. B. The bloody upheavals and wars occurred not in Europe, America, or Russia, but in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, and were either directly or indirectly a response to the experience of Western colonialism. All right. Again, I do not make any sense of it. I'll write B over here. I don't know where it comes. A. The Cold War was underpinned by an understanding that allowed the US to maintain power control. Hegemony is power control over the capitalist world, and which gave the Soviet Union a regional sphere of influence in Eastern Europe. This is actually a difficult one, right? Okay. D will not open the paragraph, that is for sure. Let's try to pin down which one can open, which one can open. Even B cannot open, that is for sure, right? As I see here, okay, as I see that Cold War is mentioned. All right. ठीक है, ठीक है. Hmm. Hmm. Statement C talks about despite the aggressive rhetoric of this era, Cold War is a period of relative peace between hostile political blocs. क्योंकि जो ब्लडी अपहीवल्स थे वो यूरोप या अमेरिका रशिया में नहीं हो रहे थे, वो एशिया अफ्रीका मिडिल ईस्ट में हो रहे थे। सो कोल्ड एरा, जो कोल्ड वॉर था उसमें एशिया अफ्रीका एंड मिडिल ईस्ट वर नॉट पार्टिसिपेटिंग, was participating Europe, America, Russia, these blocs were participating. So all the bloody upheavals and wars were not occurring there. It was occurring in Asia, Africa, Middle East. So basically, B gives a counter argument to C. All right, or not counter argument, it supports the, the fact mentioned in C. All right, CB. Now, ये जो था, it was directly response to experience of Western colonialism. In retrospect, it was remarkable. ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है। तो जो मेजर प्लेयर्स थे वो अपना कॉन्फ्लिक्ट मैनेज कर पा रहे थे, विच वॉज वेस्टर्न कॉलोनिज्म। इसके बाद में है एंड में द कोल्ड वॉर। सो ओके, बी विल फॉलो सी फॉर श्योर, दैट इज फॉर श्योर। नाउ कमिंग टू डी। ओके, ऑल राइट, ऑल राइट, ओके, कूल। So looking at A or D. A says the Cold War was underpinned by an understanding which allowed the US to maintain hegemony over capitalist world, which gave Soviet Union regional fear of influence in Eastern Europe. Okay, all right, all right. Well, well, despite the aggressive rhetoric, is the aggressive rhetoric mentioned anywhere? Mm, is it? Yes, yes. In retrospect, what is remarkable, Cold War has ability to most of major players to manage their conflict. This conflict was the aggressive rhetoric. All right. That means D should be coming after, before C, before C, right? So the conflict is the aggressive rhetoric. So D will be coming before C. All right. And okay, okay. A talks about the hegemony. US, US maintained a hegemony over the other regional, other like कैपिटलिस्ट वर्ल्ड, जिसने सोवियत यूनियन को एक नया वो दिया। ठीक है, ठीक है। रेट्रोस्पेक्ट में सब लोग अपना कॉन्फ्लिक्ट मैनेज कर पा रहे थे। कूल देन, डीसीबी इज दैट। नाउ वेयर शुड ए कम? A cannot conclude the paragraph. B is the one that concludes that all the wars were happening in outside the Cold War. So A is the one that starts. Answer is A, D, C, B. All right, Prashant, why do you think that B is not opening? It is A, D, C, B, guys. All right. This was a difficult one. I would have skipped this in the real cat. So now if I explain it again, let's see if that makes sense or not. Sentence A talks about it introduces Cold War, that how, it was underpinned by understanding that which allowed the US to maintain hegemony over capitalist world, gave Soviet Union a regional sphere of influence in Eastern Europe. In retrospect, what was ठीक है। देखो, यूएस ने अपना हेजेमनी मेंटेन किया, सोवियत यूनियन ने थोड़ा सा ईस्टर्न यूरोप पे किया, है ना? तो बेसिकली सारे मेजर प्लेयर्स वर एबल टू मैनेज देयर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट। और इतना रिटोरिक, इतने सारे अग्रेसिव रिटोरिक के बाद भी कोल्ड वॉर फिर भी रिलेटिव पीस का पीरियड था, क्योंकि असली जो मारकाट थी वो तो यहाँ पे हो रही थी भाई। कहाँ पे? एशिया, अफ्रीका, मिडिल ईस्ट में। सो एडीसीबी। कूल। स्किप क्यों? क्योंकि ये डिफिकल्ट है शान, मैं स्किप कर देता, प्रोबेबली अदर्स वोंट। ओके, दैट इज माय ओपिनियन। व्हाट डू यू गाइस थिंक? This one took the most of the time to explain. Okay, now let's go to the next one. ये भी किया था, मैंडेट ऑफ हेवन कर लिया था। आई थिंक वी डिड दैट एज वेल। चलो लेट्स सी। The smallest, shortest statement is A. The mandate of heaven indicated divine approval of a king's right to rule. This can open, this can close, this can go anywhere. We don't really know. I'll just write A here, and let's read other statements as well. In other words, the mandate of heaven. In other words, आमतौर पे तो समराइज होता है, आमतौर पे ये हमेशा लास्ट सेंटेंस होता है, मतलब ये दिस इज बेसिकली रीफ्रेजिंग ऑफ मैंडेट ऑफ हेवन. ओके, so mandate of heaven must be introduced somewhere. Now, she says, whereas medieval Europeans legitimized their ruling authority by the divine right of kings, Confucian societies use a similar concept called the mandate of heaven. Oh, cool. She is the one that introduces the mandate of heaven. All right. And name A is the one that, so here, introduction of mandate of heaven is the hero over here in the entire thing. Intro of mandate of heaven, then definition of mandate of heaven. So CA, perfect, great. However, it differed from divine right of kings in that heaven's endorsement depends upon the virtuous conduct of the ruler. कि उन्हीं हेवन उनको ही वैसे ही लोग एंडोर्स करता है, ऐसे रूलर जो अच्छे रूलर हैं, जो अच्छे their virtuous conduct. That is the, so mandate of heaven indicated divine approval of a king's right to rule, but it, and how it differs from divine right of kings, which was there in the medieval Europe. It is different in the thing that now it depends upon the virtuous conduct of the ruler, जो पहले नहीं था. पहले डिवाइन राइट था, मानो ना मानो भैया हम राजा हैं, हम हैं महान. लेकिन बाद में ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि आपको वर्चुअस भी होना पड़ेगा, तभी ये चीज होगी. So, all right, so D is the one that throws the comparison, and B इसी comparison को rephrase कर रहा है इस तरीके से. Mandate of heaven gave divine ruling authority to kings that lived a moral life, administered justice, and protected the welfare of his people. So CADB is the most plausible sequence. Is that clear? Brilliant question. Wow. Let's go to the next one. General heat. Did you do that as well? ये वाला तुम्हें दिया था मैंने या नहीं दिया था? दिया था. जल्दी बताओ. पहले बताओ yes or no. All right. So guys, we have done so many questions by now. I think in 20 something, it's like 2 hours, 18 minutes. And if I'm not wrong, we have done, I think, 27 or 30 something like questions. दिया था, चलो ये भी कर लेते हैं. ठीक है. So throw some likes. Okay, here we go. ये थोड़ा सा नरेटिव टाइप का है ना? इसके अंदर कहानी लिखी हुई है पूरी. देखते हैं. छोटा वाला देखते हैं. Seeing the campaign as a potential disaster, General He turned his troops south towards the Koryo capital, Kaesong. Obviously, D cannot open. D कहीं बाद में आएगा. ठीक है, आगे देखते हैं. Due to his prominence in 1388 CE, the anti-Ming pro-Mongol faction sent General Yi to expel a contingent of Ming troops stationed on the northern part of the Korean Peninsula. यही वो है स्टेटमेंट जहाँ फिर से कंफ्यूजन होगा कि his प्रोनाउन पहले यूज किया गया है, नाउन बाद में यूज किया गया है, शुरुआत में आना चाहिए नहीं आना चाहिए, वी नॉट रियली श्योर, राइट? ओके, बट एक बात तो श्योर है कि सी डी से पहले तो आएगा, तुरंत पहले आएगा ये मैं नहीं पता, है ना? ओके, क्योंकि यहाँ पे एक्शन दिखाया है ये का, जनरल की का. ओके. Upon his arrival in Kaesong, General He toppled the government through a military coup, and in 1392 CE, he placed himself on the throne, ushering in Joseon Kingdom. ओके, पहले इनको बुलाया गया है, फिर उन्होंने ये कांड किया है, तो बी भी बाद में ही आएगा. सी के कितना बाद में आएगा हमें ये नहीं पता. ए, जनरल ही न्यू दैट द मिंग डायनेस्टी वाज मोर पावरफुल देन मंगोल्स वर, एंड जस्ट दैट इफ ही अटैक द मिंग वुड लाइकली इन्वेड कोरिया. तो इन्होंने क्या किया? अटैक नहीं किया, इन्होंने मिलिट्री कूप किया. तो सी ए, कूप किया और खुद बना लिया अपने आप को राजा. ठीक है, ओके. फिर he saw that this campaign can be a potential disaster. He turned his troops south towards the Koryo capital, right? And upon reaching the capital, नहीं, ये क्या हुआ? मैं गलत बोल रहा हूँ. Wait. See में he was called. He knew that Mongols were, more this thing. ठीक है. So if he attacked, okay, cool, मैं उल्टा बोल गया. So this is the campaign. This can be potential disaster. तो इन्होंने क्या किया? ऐसा करो, चलो चलते हैं कैपिटल. वहां जाके इन्होंने गेम पलट दिया. So CADB is the most plausible sequence. It should be CADB. Is that clear? Now, you know what? This is a classic example where a statement that starts with a pronoun can also open the paragraph. That is what I needed to tell you. So this is a possibility. Is that clear? समझ में आ गया प्रोनाउन वाली बात? इसके बाद वही क्या था? All of you got that? So if this is something that you have done for the very first time, where you have seen that pronoun, a statement which pronoun can also open the paragraph, just tell me that. And also, if you understood this, just tell me understood and like the stream. I know that you're not getting much time in discussing things and doing other stuff. So I'm just asking this, right? Is that a new thing that you understood? I think I discussed this in some of my session earlier also, right? Okay. शशांक ने उम्मीद छोड़ दी है क्या वीआरसी की पैरा जंबल्स की? हमने ये किया था जनरल इक्वालिटी। डिड वी डू दैट? हो अभी यू दैट फहीम जल्दी से एक बार ना प्रेजेंट अटेंडेंस लगा दो यार सारे के सारे। आई थिंक वी डिड नॉट डू दिस और डिड वी? नहीं किया था हम लोगों ने। नहीं किया था ना? टाइम स्टार्ट्स हियर। All right, I just saw that we have finished the session. It's 2.5 hours, guys. क्योंकि फिर एसओपी सेशन भी करना है ना, और बाकी आधा कल करेंगे। वो तो बात पहले से डिसाइडेड थी। मुझे फील ही नहीं हुआ कि 2.5 घंटे निकल गए हैं। तुम्हें फील हुआ क्या? हुआ। फटाफट से सॉल्व करते हैं। छोटा वाला पहले। At least in the rich world, that wasteful truth has been triumphantly overcome. ठीक है। Stendhal once wrote that all geniuses who were born women were lost to the public good. Oh wow. This statement is throwing me into loops. Wow. Wow. Perfect. Huh. Well. Okay, okay, okay. Uh, D क्या बोलता है? Yet, despite this monumental advance, much ability, both male and female, is wasted because of tenacious stereotypes. ठीक है. Elite American colleges are now widely suspected of admitting male applicants with lower grades to even up the numbers. क्या मजाक चल रहा है? यही तो एविडेंस है. So A and D form mandatory pair, right? Despite mandatory pair, monumental evidence advance, much will be both male and female based because of traditional stereotypes. Okay, cool. ठीक है भाई. स्टेंडल ने कहा था कि ऐसा होता है रिच वर्ल्ड में, तो चलो ठीक है. ओके ओके कूल. रिच वर्ल्ड में चीज it has been typically overcome. So CBAD is the most plausible sequence here. Monica, welcome to the stream. The first thing you answered, you just changed CBAD को तुमने मतलब ADCB बोल दिया. But not to worry. Did you get that? I'll just explain that to you again. Okay. See, there is no doubt that CB and AD are the mandatory pairs. So either it is ADCB or it is CBAD. We have two cases possible. Let's try to eliminate the case which doesn't make sense. All right. Okay. Let's try and find it out. Now, while both look correct, we have to choose one. So if I look at the first thing, elite always do this, and yet despite its multiple evidence, both are wasted. Okay, cool. Now this is clear, and so is CB. CB is also clear. But you know what? जैसे ही एक बोलेगा both male and female is wasted, that means one gender, either male or female, should be wasted before D coming in picture, before segment D coming in picture. Is that understood? Yes or no? Yes, Monica and everyone else. So the moment you read this both, that means some gender has been mentioned before the statement D, and it's mentioned in statement C, right? Clear? So obviously, we'll go for CBAD and not for ADCB. There's another question that why can it not be CBDA? Why not DA? CB ठीक है. Why not DA? Why AD? Why AD? Why DA? By the way, okay, let's see. In these two cases, what is the most plausible sequence? देखो, सस्पेक्ट किस बात का है कि भाई ये लोग ना मेल एप्लीकेंट्स को एडमिट कर रहे हैं लोअर ग्रेड्स के साथ. ठीक है ना, इस पे सस्पेक्ट किया जा रहा है. ठीक है. और ये मॉन्यूमेंटल एडवांस डिस्पाइट टू इवन अप द नंबर्स. ये मॉन्यूमेंटल में क्या बोल रहा था, एडवांस एविडेंस बोल रहा था मैं यार, सॉरी. सो इवन अप द नंबर्स. सो टू इवन अप द नंबर्स इज द एडवांस दैट हैज बीन टॉक्ड अबाउट. ओके, मैंने पहले एविडेंस बोला था, गलत बोला था, एडवांस है. सो टू इवन अप द नंबर्स दैट इज द एडवांस. डिस्पाइट दिस देखो, ये लोग ऐसा कर रहे हैं, इसके बावजूद हो क्या रहा है, बोथ मेल फीमेल्स आर गेटिंग वेस्टेड बिकॉज ऑफ टेनिस स्टीरियोटाइप्स. सिंपल. So it must be CBAD. Is that clear? Clear, Shivani? ये वाला करना था ना. ठीक है, चलो इसको भी देख लेते हैं. छोटा वाला देखें, छोटा वाला स्टेटमेंट, ये वाला. Hate speech is characterized by deliberate targeting of communities rather than beliefs. बिलीव नहीं, सीधा इंसान को ही खत्म. वो ना, एक मैंने एक फिल्म देखी थी, इश्क नाम था उस मूवी का. उसमें बोलता है कि इनका मानना ये है, इन्हें 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 गरीबों से नफरत है. ये मानते हैं देश से गरीबी नहीं, गरीबों को हटाना चाहिए. तो उसे वही हेट स्पीच हो गई, राइट. थोड़ा कॉमेडी थी वहां पे, बट समझ के बात को. सो हेट स्पीच कैरेक्टराइज्ड बाय deliberate targeting of communities rather than beliefs. ओके भाई, ठीक है. ओके, नाउ व्हाट? बट सच एन एसोसिएशन विल बी स्प्यूरियस. मुझे मालूम पड़ गया कि ये सीधा एक ही बात भी आएगा. Characterized by this, and this association will be spurious. मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ यार, मतलब एक सी के बाद ये बी मैंने लिखा क्यों है, बाय द वे. मैं सी लिखना चाह रहा था यहाँ पे. ओके, सो सी सच एसोसिएशन. रुको पूरा पढ़ लेते हैं, देयर मोर टू गो. There's more to go. The students' body activism has been criticized by detractors and it is being sought to be associated with hate speech. ठीक है. Okay, so hate speech has been introduced over here. All right. Students' body activism has been criticized by detractors. It has been sought to be associated association. Cool. D and C for mandatory pair. All right. As questioning orthodoxy and conservatism is not tantamount to hate speech. ठीक है. तो यहाँ इतना कम बता रहे हैं कि नहीं एक्चुअली हेट स्पीच एग्जैक्टली है क्या. तो यहाँ बताया गया है. सो ए विल बी देयर. What the management must seek to do is not to let political discussion debates to descend into creative attacks and hate speech. तो यहाँ बताया है कि अल्टीमेटली मैनेजमेंट को क्या करना है. सोल्यूशन दिया गया बी में. ऑलराइट, सो डी टॉक्स अबाउट स्टूडेंट बॉडी एक्टिविज्म में association with the hate speech, but that will be spurious. It's like questioning orthodoxy and conservatism. And then now hate speech exactly होता क्या है उसको बताया गया है और फिर बोला है मैनेजमेंट को क्या करना चाहिए इस चीज़ से. सोल्यूशन इसका रेमेडी क्या होना चाहिए. सो डी सी ए इज द मोस्ट पॉसिबल सीक्वेंस. A will follow C. Okay. Like C tells us what tantamounts to hate speech, and then hate speech has been discussed. So CA form a mandatory pair. B is the solution. D is the opening. Simple. Main is the key here is to identify the mandatory pair CA. That is the key. All right, clear. So this is where I would like to end the session. All right, those who have not given me enough likes, please do, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we'll meet again. Those who have joined recently. So, and if you have filled the FMS form, join me for a session at exactly 11:30. That is an SOP form, SOP session, how to write effective SOPs for FMS. But it's not, even if someone is writing SOP for other colleges, it will be beneficial for you. This will give you an idea, a brief idea how to do that. Okay. If people are for GMAT, in GMAT SOP तो बहुत ही ज़रूरी है. तो ultimately, even if it says FMS, it's kind of useful and relevant to all the MBA aspirants. So see you at 11:30. That is going to be how much? It's 10:37. So in next 50 minutes, we'll be seeing each other again. I'll go and have some dinner. It's there's a family function going on. Niche, my mom ended calling me again and again. But you know what? I felt like because cat is near, so obviously family should not wait. But I made them wait, and I have to go and tell them sorry. They'll disown me very soon. Okay, I just have to go and pacify them. All right. So if I empty form now, uh, just fill it now if it's open. मोटिवेशन अभी मिलेंगे फिर से. ऑल देन. अरे कल नहीं अभी मिलने वाले हैं. दिशिता 11:30 बजे कल देखते हैं. बाय बाय एवरीवन. I won't say good night because we'll be seeing each other in 15 minutes again. Bye. Take care.